Listen up, Lakers Nation, because this isn't some ordinary offseason filler or a quiet blip on your feed. This is the damn fulcrum on which everything pivots. We're not just talking about backup bigs or salary caps. This is about LeBron James' twilight legacy, Anthony Davis' relentless quest to be the team's bedrock, and the raw, hungry souls grinding beneath the glare of stardom at Sophie Arena. Think about it. LeBron's not just any athlete. He's a resurrector of franchises, a one-man renaissance. But at 39, every roster decision now echoes louder. It can be the difference between a farewell tour and a championship curtain call. And AD, the burden he carries is beyond weight. Contract freshness aside, the expectations to truly become the Lakers' defensive anchor and offensive pulse have never been higher. His health is a constant question mark, but also a testament to resilience. Now, imagine the synergy or lack thereof with Hayes, Aidon, and Luka Doncic. A delicate triad of youth, promise, and the veteran gravitas of a LeBron who refuses to fade quietly. Look, Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura aren't just names on the back of jerseys. They're the torchbearers of a new era, the next wave trying to turn flashes of brilliance into consistent homers. But the question is, can this roster, stitched together with role players like Hayes, withstand the tidal waves of the Western Conference battleground? History reminds us this club's DNA isn't just talent. It's a blend of swagger and star power, of dazzling Showtime fast breaks in the 80s, Shaq and Kobe's dominance in the early 2000s, the redemption arc of 2010, and that near-mythic bubble victory in 2020. Each era was a brutal mix of brilliance and heartbreak, and this feels like the crossroads again. Because make no mistake, the West is a cauldron of champions and challengers. Golden State, a dynasty on life support, but still lethal. Denver's explosive trio ready to crash the party. Phoenix with their merciless youth. Clippers always lurking as the city's other contender. The Lakers' subtle moves with Hayes and Milton could disrupt the status quo or accelerate their slide into obscurity. What if the cautious approach to retaining a familiar backup center is a smokescreen for a front office wrestling with identity? Jeannie Buss remains at the helm, steady but often conservative, guarding the family legacy like a hawk, but whispers of billionaire suitors circling hint at a potential shakeup that could crack open the narrative entirely. Could fresh money bring fresh madness, or worse, fracture the unity that holds this team's spirit? And let's not overlook the immense pressure on the coaching side. J.J. Redick's decisions with minutes and rotations won't just influence wins and losses. They'll define whether this team gels into a unit or fractures under the spotlight. The stakes for a coach inheriting a mix of aging stars desperate to leave a mark and hungry youngsters clawing for minutes couldn't be any higher. Now imagine the butterflies in your stomach at every game, knowing each foul or missed rotation from Hayes could be the difference between a series win or a crushing exit. This isn't just basketball. This is fate playing out with sweat and blood on the hardwood. Picture the ripple effect if the Lakers get it right. Aidon solidifying the paint. Luka Doncic morphing into a transcendent talent ahead of schedule. Hayes becoming a steady force off the bench that could finally push this team past the glory years of subtle underdogs into a new tier of dominance. But what if the quietly re-signed Hayes continues to struggle with consistency or defensive rebounding and we see cracks under playoff pressure? What if LeBron's diminishing minutes make every substitution a test of depth and nerve? What if a miscue trade or a misplayed contract squadron dilutes the focus so hard the Lakers end up chasing shadows rather than championships? We're living in the drama of tomorrow, right here, right now. And the front office's delicate dance with the banal exception is a masterclass in high-stakes poker trading. Shake Milton's security for a gust of new talent could realign priorities overnight. What if they gamble big on a 3-and-D wing, the missing puzzle piece to silence critics about spacing and defense? Or what if an additional center bolsters the rotation and finally quiets the doubters about the Lakers' paint game, allowing LeBron and AD to do what they do best? The uncertainty hangs thick like LA smog, choking and energizing at once. But fan emotion is the fuel. Every whispered trade rumor, every contract tweak, every training camp battle fuels this gladiatorial atmosphere. The purple and gold faithful aren't just watching, they are the heartbeat, the roaring thunder that fills the arena, the desperate prayers when a shot clock winds down. Because, deep down, this franchise's history teaches us that championships aren't won by stars alone. They're forged in moments of collective sacrifice, in the wills of role players rising to the occasion and the ruthless precision of front offices willing to tweak the fine details under the radar. What if stretching beyond just Hayes. This season is the crucible that forges an enduring Lakers culture again when hungry for redemption. Built on grit, trust, and the cold, calculated hope that every underappreciated backup can be a secret weapon. But what if it's too little, too late? What if the front office's subtlety is indecision masquerading as strategy? As LeBron's final years slip away tangled in hesitant moves, you feel that tension, that biting edge that makes every fan pulse race because we've been here before. Remember the days after the great Kobe era when hope felt like a fragile thread? Remember the lows and rebuilds, the big men signed and traded like chess pieces, but never fitting? This moment reeks of history's lessons both learned and ignored, and the city, it pulses with expectation and frustration in equal measure. Its courts filled with dreams of glory past, at present clashing like thunderclouds over the Pacific. So, as this roster quietly fills in its depth chart behind the luminous stars, remember every coaching decision, every John Doe bench player's hustle, every waiver wire whisper could be the epic plot twist we don't see coming. The contract minutiae, the agent alignments, the silent negotiations at midnight, all of it is the unseen poetry of Lakers basketball. And the fans were the storytellers of this saga, the ones who scream at the TV in disbelief or ecstatic joy as a Laker till the day I die. Here's what I see coming. This offseason subtle shuffles might just set the stage for a comeback for the ages or a breakdown of a legend's last dance. The passion is raw, the stakes colossal, and the unknown infinite. Now, I want to hear it from you. Drop your rawest take below, every true believer in purple and gold. What battle cry are you shouting into the void? Are we on the brink of a Lakers renaissance or staring down the barrel of another rebuild? The story is far from over, and trust me, you won't want to blink when the next move hits. What if the fate of the next Lakers dynasty isn't shaped by blockbuster trades or superstar signings, but by the subtle dance of timing, chemistry, and those quietly pivotal role players that fly under the radar? What if the difference between glory and heartbreak comes down to a single roster move that most fans barely notice until the season is underway? Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, where raw truth meets purple and gold passion. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a second of this drama. Now, let's talk about the latest ripple in the Lakers roster waters. Because while the headlines buzz over LeBron's health or Anthony Davis' dominance, the front office is quietly shaping their future with moves that feel small but could carry seismic consequences. Jackson Hayes is back to center, who has become something of a living paradox for Lakers Nation. This is his third consecutive year with the purple and gold, inked again on what's almost certainly a veteran minimum deal, worth around $0.8 million for next season. It's a contract that keeps them about $3.5 million under the tax apron, tantalizingly close, but not quite enough to dip into their banal exception. That very exception is the key to understanding what this signing really means. You see, the Lakers aren't done reshaping this roster just yet, and that's where the intrigue really begins. So many fans grip their remotes and bang their fists against the TV, saying, "Why Hayes? Why bring back a guy who kind of flamed out last season and fell out of the rotation under Reggie Reek?" Yes, last season's preseason was rough for Hayes. He wasn't trusted as a starter anymore, and the buzz circulating was that J.J. Redick himself just wasn't sold on his consistency or fit. But let's be crystal clear, Jackson Hayes is not the starting big man going forward. With Adriano now on board, the Lakers didn't sign Hayes to start. They signed him as direct backup to Aito in a strategic chess move to add depth at the 5, a role that Hayes, despite his flaws, can fill while the team waits for others to develop or emerge. The question hanging over Sophie Arena is whether Hayes will be the lone backup center or whether the Lakers still have another center signing up their sleeves. Trey Gibson lingers on a two-way. Christian Clough is retained on his restricted two-way rights, and Maxi Kleber is in recovery mode from foot surgery, but looked promising enough for the Lakers to view him as a valuable stretch big, capable of adding a new dimension to the rotation if and when fully healthy. Dan Woke of The Athletic even points to Kleber's potential as a center who could shake up the paint rotation, adding an unexpected spark to the Lakers' front court. So is this cast of characters enough? Will this suffice, or are the Lakers scheming another move soon? You might think their roster is locked, capped at 15 players. But don't be fooled. Locked in purple and gold land rarely means complete closure. Shake Milton holds a non-guaranteed contract, a ticking time bomb of flexibility for the Lakers. I like Shaky's a capable backup guard with some range and playmaking chops. But if the front office plays their cards right, Milton's spot might be the trade-off to unleash the banal exception's power. Why let that exception sit on the bench collecting dust when you could flip Milton and bring in a player who fulfills a more urgent need? The whispers already hint at targets like D'Anthony Melton, a gritty backcourt defender known for his hustle, and 3-and-D potential a luxury pocketed behind the star backcourt duo. Maybe the Lakers chase a 3-and-D wing to shore up perimeter defense and spacing, or, perhaps, an additional backup center to ignite real competition for Jackson Hayes and Adri Aidon. These moves could crank up the pressure on training camp at preseason battles, turning the roster into an arena of grit and hunger. And the intrigue deepens. Could it be a salary dump of a guy like Gabe Vincent or Max Klaba to clear room? The ledger isn't just numbers, it's strategy, patience, and sacrifice. So far, relatively silent, but crucial. What about the player they just signed again, Jackson Hayes? Let's not sugarcoat the relationship between the fanbase and Hayes. It's complicated, tossed with frustration and doubt. Many started to see him solely as a starter, where his limitations were glaring and his impact questioned. But Hayes was never meant to be a 22-30 minutes per game cornerstone. His real value lies in his role as a backup, coming in with that fresh energy, hustling on defense, and offering a lob threat to ignite the break, the same lob threat that came alive in roughly 30 starts after the trade deadline last season. Hayes posted numbers worth noting, not eye-popping but efficient, around 8 points per game, on an impressive 73% shooting from the field, 6 rebounds, and a block per game. When asked to hold down the fort, nearly every shot was a dunk or close range finish, showing a player who's not flashy but reliable when the ball is in the paint. The Lakers clearly see this tangible upside and want to pair Hayes with Adri Aidon and the emerging beast, Luka Doncic, hoping to replicate that dynamic Thuka-type strategy, pairing lob threats to fuel an unselfish, electrifying offense built on tempo rim protection and relentless rim running. Aidon is the traffic cop, Hayes is the alley-oop artist waiting on the wing, ready to soar on a dime, while Luka continues to grow into his own superstar role. This mix sets the tone for continuity, too. Hayes is one of the few players with 3 straight years in this purple and gold family. He's known in the locker room, dived with LeBron, Austin Reeves, Vanderbilt, and Rui Hachimura through thick and thin. That familiarity counts in a team striving to weave together star power, role players, and coaching philosophies. J.J. Redick still needs to decide just how much trust Hayes deserves in those crunch moments, especially in the postseason. But on system knowledge alone, Hayes holds an edge over new guys like Adri, who still needs time to learn the ropes. That gap in continuity might just prove decisive in the dog days of April and May, when every possession is magnified statistically. Hayes is a puzzle. According to BBALLindex.com, he grades as an A- in help defense and post defense against his backup center peers. With solid rim protection and decent perimeter defense, grades pretty impressive for a bench big, but when measured up against starting caliber bigs, his metrics take a steep nosedive. An F in defensive rebounding, D- rim deterrence, and average or below average marks across isolations and mobile defense. The data paints the picture that Hayes truly thrives in a bench role, where his minutes hover around 10 to 15 per game, ready to step in only when called upon or when starters need rest or a breather. That's the role designed for him, and that's exactly where the Lakers are placing him. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement. Hayes gets the chance to grow at 25 years old, hopefully building on the measurable improvement he showed last season. The Lakers get depth, experience, and a familiar system plug-in to ease the transition for the new faces. And here's an eyebrow raiser. It turns out Hayes, Adri Aidon, and Luka Doncic all share the same agent, Bill Duffy, who commands a portfolio of 24 NBA players. This connection suggests a backstage alignment that's more than coincidence, hinting at a front office strategy streamlined by agent relationships and roster chemistry. And while Hayes may have gotten a slight raise with early bird rights, the deal likely hovers around that veteran minimum range. Nothing flashy, just functional. So how do we feel? Frustrated, hopeful, complacent? I get it. Hayes isn't the star signing we dreamed up, but he's a solid backup, and comparatively, there are far worse options they could have settled for in free agency. But this signing doesn't close the chapter. It signals a prelude for the next moves. The real question now is, will the Lakers wave goodbye to Shake Milton, freeing the door for the banal exception to come alive. Milton's contract isn't guaranteed, and with the precious tax space sitting idle, giving up on him could be the key to unlocking a deal for a real impact player. Maybe Melton, maybe a front-court competitor, or a 3-and-D wing who could change the complexion of the roster and defensive schemes. The whispers around the league say Al Horford's name, but the Hayes signing likely puts him out of reach. He could be headed to Golden State or even retirement, so that leaves the Lakers with some tantalizing options to fill that last roster spot, whether it's Precious Achiuwa, hybrid big Chris Bucker, or Kai Jones on a two-way contract. The front office chess game is far from over, and every move, every waiver, every signing is loaded with intention, risk, and hope. As a lifelong Lakers fan, I can't help but feel both a simmering excitement and a prickling unease. Is this subtle center rotation shuffle signaling the start of a new empire, quietly assembled in the shadows of superstar glory's past? Or is it a harbinger of unraveling, a missed opportunity to dominate through bolder moves? Time will tell. But one thing's certain, every deadline, every exception, every call we don't hear is making or breaking the dreams of purple and gold glory. So drop your take in the comments. I'll be reading everyone. What's your sense? Does the Lakers' quiet persistence with Jackson Hayes signal smart continuity, or caution masking fear? Who should be next in line to get that banal exception? The game has already shifted, the clock's ticking, and the next chapter of Lakers history is being written as we speak.